Green pond water. It looks terrible, you can't see the fish. I much prefer this. Today I want to talk about how I personally keep my ponds clear naturally and how you can too. I'll also give some quick fixes for anyone that is at their wit's end. G'day, my name is Kev. The aim of my channel is to help people build and maintain ponds without spending a fortune. If that sounds like something that interests you, feel free to subscribe and check out my website ozponds.com. The first thing I want to do is dispel some myths. You can have a pond in full sun without it turning green. This is one of my ponds. It's in full sun. In summer, it would get at least 12 hours of sun a day. And the other thing that you might notice is that the plants don't cover the entire pond. I love plants, but I also like to have open water so I can see the fish. And thirdly, green water isn't bad for fish. It's just annoying because you can't see them. In fact, a lot of fish breeders will keep their ponds, tubs or aquariums green on purpose, as the single-celled algae a good food source for those fry. But I'd think most hobbyists like me would prefer nice clear water. This pond still has plenty of natural food that the fish are happily foraging for. Okay, with all that said, how exactly is this pond staying clear? The key is bacteria. When fish breathe, poo, and maybe they fart, I don't know, they produce ammonia. Ammonia is a nutrient we're all probably pretty familiar with as a common additive in plant fertilizer. And the thing that makes a pond go green is single-celled algae, a very basic plant and quick growing. Now keep in mind, I'm not a scientist or a biologist, I'm just a pond hobbyist. So this is just my very basic and simple take on things I know and observe in all my ponds. Anyway, if there is too much nutrient and sunlight, the pond will turn green. So the trick is to make sure that the pond has enough bacteria. These bacteria will commonly be referred to as beneficial bacteria, nitrifying bacteria, denitrifying bacteria. But the bottom line is these bacteria are taking ammonia and converting it into nitrite and then nitrate. These bacteria are very simple to cater for. All they need is wet surfaces and oxygen. You can see the pond is full of rock and pebble, which is providing area for the bacteria to grow on. The waterfall cascading into the pond is also oxygenating the water. That waterfall is also a filter. It has filter sponges and bioballs. These bioballs are designed to maximize the amount of surface area available to the beneficial bacteria. By pushing the water up through these bioballs that are homes to probably billions of bacteria, the ammonia is constantly being processed. I also like to have some plants to help remove any excess nutrients from the water. Ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate are all forms of nitrogen. Plants like nitrogen, and that includes algae. Now I've tried a few different types of filters, and there's two that I think work really great. The good news is you can build both yourself quite cheaply. If you're interested in learning how, I'll link my DIY filter video playlist in the description, so feel free to check those ones out. This particular pond has a high flow waterfall filter. The pond only holds 2, maybe 3,000 litres of water, but there's 12,000 litres of water being pumped through the waterfall filter every hour. This is a different pond and it uses my bog in a barrel design, and it only has about 1,200 litres moving through the filter every hour. This pond is slightly larger, but both filters are providing great results. The bog filter is more energy efficient because it can have slower flow, but it does take up more room. Anyway, I've gotten sidetracked again. If you want to learn more about building filters, you can check out some of those videos I've linked down below. But the most important thing to remember is move water through media that is colonized by beneficial bacteria. It's pretty simple. If you don't have enough bacteria, the pond will go green. Remember, more surface area will equal more bacteria. Now, there are other types of filters, and I'm not a big fan of those small compact pressure style filters. I find they simply don't provide enough surface area for the bacteria. They'll often include a UV light, and that's because I think that they know the lack of surface area is going to result in green water. Speaking of UV lights, they absolutely work in eliminating green water. But I figure, why use extra energy if you don't need to? If you do choose to use a UV light, it's important that you buy the right size for the amount of flow you'll move through it. If the water passes through too fast, it won't work, or at least not as well. So if you really need a quick fix, because maybe you have people coming over and you want to show off your pond and fish, you can use a flocculant. I'll put a link to what I mean in the description. I don't really have a brand preference. I just go with whatever's safe for plants and fish and is within my budget. The flocculant will help the algae clump together. Remember, green water is caused by single-celled algae, so often it can pass through filter sponges. But by clumping it together, the sponges can capture it. So yes, you'll need some filter sponges, quilt batting, anything that can help filter out that algae. You can place the sponges before the water is sucked into the pump or before the water enters the pond. Just somewhere where all that water passes by so you can get it all. Now, you'll probably need to rinse off the sponges multiple times before you collect all the algae. If the sponges get too clogged, the water will just start to bypass the sponge along with the algae. Now, if you have a natural pond like this one, it's got no liner and it's a long way from electricity, there are a few options. The first thing is adding in some aeration. I'm using an air pump connected to about 70 meters of garden hose, but there are solar air pumps that you could buy also. The aeration helps agitate the water and provides plenty of oxygen for the bacteria. We also added in some freshwater mussels. These take in dirty water and release clean water. They're pretty awesome little natural filters. I also add in diatomics once a week. Diatomics encourages the growth of diatoms. Diatoms are a type of phytoplankton and will outcompete the algae for nutrients. They're also a vital part of the aquatic food chain. Lily from Algae Enviro tells me that they can now ship diatomics to the US, so that's pretty cool for you guys. And if you live outside Australia or the US, you can try new algae. It also encourages the growth of diatoms. I'll put a link to both products down in the description. And of course, I like to add plants to the margins. But just remember, the easiest, cheapest, laziest way to prevent green water is to simply have plenty of surface area for bacteria. Once you get it right, the pond ecosystem will pretty much take care of itself. And if you're struggling with string algae, that's a different beast. And I'll link a video in the description talking about how I deal with it. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful and not too boring. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. See ya.